Hello everyone, this is Joanna the Medium. Thank you so much for coming back. These are going to be your messages for the month of November 2018. I want to give you a couple of things before we move on to the messages. First and foremost, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. My intention is always to give you helpful information that will allow you to know yourself deeply. So whether it is something to think about or something that will allow you to do things differently, or I give you a suggestion or idea, Spirit is here to help you to understand yourself better so that you can have freedom and more choices. Whatever signs you're listening to, whichever is your sign, sometimes you'll be guided to see a sign that doesn't belong to you, and you will find that the information there also applies to you. The way I work with my team is I try to bring information that is of most relevance to everyone in all life, including practical knowledge and practical advice. What I'm trying to say here is listen to your other signs as well as signs you normally wouldn't listen to but you are drawn to. Also, this month, for some reason, I recorded two messages for Gemini. I don't know how I did it. Never have done it before in the last 2.5, 3 years. And I've done them on the same day. It's almost as if I had amnesia. So you will notice that there is a Gemini reading 1 and Gemini message 2, video 1 and video 2. Listen to both. For some of you, both will apply. For some of you, one will apply over the other. I was asked, what do I do with this now? And the suggestion was given to me that I release both of them. So if you're a Gemini, consider this as a bonus month for you and see which one applies to you, perhaps both. And of course, for any messages that you are looking for, or any inside information on your personal life, these messages are general. You're welcome to connect with me. That information is down below for you. More than anything, I thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing and for sharing. I always am so grateful to be able to do this for you, and it is what brings me a great joy. So thank you so much. If you would like to comment how these messages apply to you, I would love to read them. I wish you best of luck. Take care of yourself and see you soon. Let's move on. Hello, beautiful Geminis. These are going to be your messages from Spirit for the month of November. I have a whole bunch of different cards I put out. And let me see where I want to start. Okay, so first I want to start with tuning into some of the energies that are in or around you in the month of November. For some of you, you will feel this in October as well. All right. The number 10 is signified to me, which stands for October, yes, but it is a sign to me of a completion. So many of you are in the process of completing certain aspect of your life, and it's time for you to move on. I also feel that this is a time of a major cleanup, and the word major is being shown to me underlined, which signifies that there is a considerable amount of heavy lifting or heavy work that has to be exerted in order to move something forward. My God is asking me to explain what I mean by this, because some of you didn't hear what I meant. In other words, there are some things you need to look at, you need to observe, you need to look at very closely in order to decide if you still really want it. This will be coupled with you examining your beliefs about whatever it is that you are questioning, and perhaps noticing some shifts of perspective around the subject. So for some of you it's going to be work, for some of you it's going to be relationships, for some of you it's going to be some major moves in your life. I mean, it could be many situations, but these will be situations that mean quite a bit, that have substantial meaning in your life. And I hear the words change happens for a reason. So sounds like some of you have been stagnating or have been feeling stuck in a certain area of your life, and it's time to move along, and it's time to move things further or go further by addressing what is in front of you. The scale is shown to me, which is also a sign of Libra, so I don't often get this information, but if some of you are dealing with a sign of Libra, that may be the other component of the equation. Some of you may have a Libra as a prominent sign, either a rising sign or a moon sign. If that's the case, also check your Libra signs. Again, I don't get this information very often, so it's going to be very significant for some of you. I also want to say, don't be afraid of the changes that you are approaching or that are approaching you. And I feel for some of you, I'm being shown books. So books to me always signify awareness, knowledge, teaching, education. So some of you might be moving on a brand new path that requires you to learn certain things. For some of you, this is going to be you learning more about yourself, and as a result of that learning, you progress further on your journey. Whatever that is for you, don't be afraid of the changes. And again, changes happen for a reason. So if you have been stagnating, if you have been stuck, if you have been feeling like you are not moving forward, chances are that in the month of November, you will be making some choices and decisions to move something forward. Of course, this is not going to affect everyone or connect with everyone, but I always ask for messages to be given to me in such a way that includes as many of you as it is absolutely possible. So energetically speaking, you can connect with anything, any message to your life. All right, let's move on with some cards. So the first two cards I was asked to present were the animal cards. And you have two very interesting animals. You have the camel and you have the panther. When I see this, so the camel is either a strength or a weakness. And when this card was shown to me, it symbolizes that some of you feel you don't have the strength to move on with whatever is in front of you. The actual truth of the matter is that in fact you do. As a matter of fact, it is a strength of yours that has not been realized inside of you yet. In other words, there is a lot more to you than you can see, and current conditions will allow you to see this about yourself. It is also a message that says this is a time where you will need to go deep inside and dig into your own inner resources in order to make something work, to deal with something, or to make something shift. So there's a message here of not only acquiring strength, but it is also a message of having strength and perhaps not being able to feel that at the moment. And for some of you, if you've been hanging on for dear life in some aspect of your life, you might feel tired. For some of you, you've been feeling like you've been stagnating and it's just you're running out of juice. So I feel like the month of November in particular seems to be like an extra push that you will either have or that you will need in order to deal with something. The panther, whenever the panther comes in, by the way, that's one of my animal totems, and I love my female panther. She comes in and she's just incredible, fierce. But when this comes up, it is telling me that some of you are dealing with some sort of addictions. You have a self-destructive way about you, and it is a time for you to see this. It's to recognize this, whatever those things are for you. Some of these things may be unhealthy attachments you have to yourself or others. For some of you, this is going to be as lame as overeating or over drinking. And when I say lame, I don't mean to minimize it, but it's not a deep psychological dive. The other part of the message is when the panther comes in, it comes in with a destructive force in order to get rid of some clutter in your life. And if I want to connect this card to those of you who know tarot, a little bit to the tarot. Not to the tarot, to the tower. So when a panther comes in, it signifies to me a tower moment. So there are changes happening in your life for the better in most cases, and it may feel very fast and very furious, but after the dust settles, you will be able to see and recognize what all this was for. So chances are some of you will be experiencing some drastic changes in your life. No, nothing bad, absolutely nothing bad. It's like I said earlier, it is for the purpose of clearing your path so that you can have a more fulfilling life. And sometimes when we cling on to stuff, attachments, those are the things that prevent us from getting what we want. So month of November seems to be a little bit interesting. Now, the 10 is being shown to me again as a symbol of completion. When a panther comes in, it says, okay, I'm going to clear this out for you. I'm going to make a mess out of this, but only for the purpose of getting everything, out in the open, and then we'll just clear whatever is unnecessary, leave what's meant to be there, and then we'll move on. So I want to say for some of you, it might be a bit of a shakeup, particularly because you want to things done your way, and things may not be working your way, and the universe will come in and the universe will say, well, let us do it your way, our way. At least it's going to be quick, and at least it's going to be fast. Once the dust settles, then you'll be in a better place. So it's not a warning. It's nothing bad. Like I'm saying, the tower to me represents good things. It basically says things have to come down in order to be re-looked at. We need to strengthen your foundation so that we can put things back together and assume our life in much more stronger way. So the camel again symbolizes that you through this process remain strong. You have the strength to deal whatever this is. For some of you, this is a move. For some of you, this is a move abroad. Some of you are contemplating a move. For some of you, it's an energetic move where you will physically shift energy, move through you, as in a wave of energy comes through you, and from that point on, you will never feel the same. For some of you, this is a move to a different location, either a personal residence or a place of employment. There's a move or a shift of energy as a result of shift in thinking as well. So then, excuse me. Yes. So the next message, the next card is the card of strength. Again, we have the card of strength. 4 is 8, and in traditional tarot, the 8 card is the strength card. So because it's shown to me in reverse, okay, it is saying to me that for some of you, you have to pay particular attention to your health. You may feel some weaknesses in your body, or your body may be feeling very weak, and it is a time to strengthen your health. For some of you, it is about strengthening things for example, in a relationship. If your relationship is not feeling very strong, it's time to look at what that is, how you can make it stronger, and then get on it. There's a need to pay extra attention to things that are very important to you, that have been hanging off balance a little bit. It is also suggesting that in the month of, this is actually your responsibility. So this card represents your responsibility. So your responsibility in the month of November is to make sure that you take care of yourself. You take care of your health, your mental health, your physical, spiritual, mental, I said that already, emotional, and you also pay attention to things that need strengthening in your life, including your relationships. So this is your responsibility for the month of November. Your addictions or attachments, what are you addicted or attached to? Brilliant. You have the card called Seed of Polarity. When I tune into this card, this is also a card of opposites, is what I feel. It is what is the context here? Polarity, view, polarized view. So some of you have addictive behaviors around how you see things in very polarized way. And I feel like I want to give you an example. Well, the typical evil and good, or evil and black and white, evil and good. There's an aspect of separation here. Now, how can I say this a little bit more, a little bit differently? Let me just feel this card. Okay, I feel like you have a belief system that ultimately separates you either from those you love or from the things that you want in your life. You need to examine what your beliefs are around that and what it is stemming from. For example, you may be creating a scenario where you push others away emotionally because you have this polarized view of yourself that you are not enough, and at the same time you want someone to love you. So you have someone to love you, as an example, but then subconsciously you feel you don't deserve it, so you push it away emotionally, and you play that. And you play that over and over. It becomes a pattern. It's your cycle. So it is your attachments that you need to look at that keep you either feeling isolated, believing that you are somehow different, making you feel in some polarized way different than everybody else. It is also, for some of you, the idea of constantly feeling like you always have to fend for yourself, because at the end of the day there will be nobody else to help you. So that will absolutely create a sense of isolation, because you create those scenarios for you. Another message that comes with this is the victim thinking and victim mentality. If we have a victim belief about ourselves, that things always happen to us, we will have a very polarized view of looking at the world. We will constantly seek subconsciously rejection. Now, I'm hearing this and I'm going, why on earth would you create rejection? And I feel for some of you that it keeps you in this perpetual cycle of feeling resentment. So if you have some resentment stuff lingering in right now, and it obviously comes from your past, it is time for you to address those. For some of you, this is interesting because I feel like my tonsils are swollen. So this is not going to be for everybody, obviously, but there's a need for some of you to look at your throat, and I'm feeling actually pressure at the base of my throat. So for some of you, you can recognize this attachment to suppressing your emotions. You may be overly analytical and you see the world in very black and white ways, or in very overly logical ways where you don't allow emotions to be part of your being. So we have attachments all the time, and I was talking about the mid-October video about attachments. Attachments are not bad things. We need attachments in our life. It is the attachments that rob us of our happiness that are being addressed here. I asked for more information about these attachments, and the card that you got was All That Glitters and Exchanging Gifts in Reverse. So this particular card, All That Glitters, is a message that says this is a time to look deeper past the superficial things. That's one message. Another message is it is time to let go of the need to project yourself as someone you are not. So for some of you, you are trying very hard to prove yourself all the time. You don't even think about it. Half of you don't even know it. And therefore, you are constantly struggled inside. Now, I always say, if you are constantly trying to be somebody else for the sake of love, acceptance, validation, whatever polarized view we have about ourselves, we always come up short. Not only that, we can never truly relax, because relax means we are ourselves. And if there's something about you that you feel uncomfortable with, it's going to be very hard for you to relax and let people see the real you. So for some of you, I feel you have been hiding for a very long time. You have been hiding behind your career. You have been hiding behind your status. You have been hiding behind a person. You have been hiding behind whatever things we can hide by. You can hide in. You can be hiding behind your physical possessions. I mean, you can be hiding by many things. Point is, if you can recognize this inside of yourself, if it means something to you, then it's important to look that it exists, number one. Where it comes from, I mean, it's important, yes. I always feel that it helps. But once you recognize it's there, then notice how it serves you. Now, some of you may say, well, how can a negative attachment serve me? That doesn't serve me. Well, actually it does. It serves you in a profound way. The only thing is you don't see it as serving because it's not coming out in a positive manifestation that you would recognize as, whatever. So an example would be if you are stuck in a abusive relationship and clearly it's not working, you don't want it, but you keep leaving and you keep coming back, you keep leaving, you keep coming back. If that is the case, it is an attachment, it is an addiction. You are attached or addicted to feeling a certain way. And in this scenario, in this particular example, this could be addiction to feeling dependent on somebody else, and that is what you need to look at. And if that is the case for you, if you have a dependency to someone, or to be something, or to be seen as somebody, or to prove yourself all the time, then you need to find a way of how to find that recognition within yourself, by yourself. I always say people help us, but people can't do it for us. So for many of you, this is about recognizing yourself, recognizing your own significance, recognizing your own amazement, and no longer looking towards others for that familiar feeling of validation. The next card you have is exchange of gifts. This card, being in reverse, always talks to me about inability to receive. So if you are struggling with some skewed concept of yourself, you may have difficulty receiving. You may want, let's say, a lot of money. You may want the perfect partner. You may want a lot of love. But if you are not familiar with how to receive, because your concept of yourself tells you you shouldn't, you're not worth it, you can't, whatever it is, then you need to recognize that first before anything can come to you. So there's a need to look at how you prevent yourself from receiving. Now, when the Panther comes in, it creates a lot of havoc because it wants to get rid of things that are not working. Whatever is going to happen in the month of November for you, whatever tower moment, whatever change is happening, changes are good. Remember, changes are good. Whatever is happening, notice if it is bringing up the concept inside around giving and receiving. Okay? That's really, really important for you to address. And then I said, okay, give me just 2 more cards for what is the advice? Well, you have 4 of Swords and then you have 6 of Swords. Number 1, it is about addressing, with the message from me with this card is that it is about addressing your mind. You need to find a way to look at your thinking and notice how your thought pattern and your thought process keeps you in being stuck. And this happens usually on a subconscious level. So how would you know? Well, if you find yourself in a repeated pattern, if you find yourself in a situation that feels familiar, you need to ask yourself, how am I contributing to bringing this towards me? Not from the point of view of blame, but from the point of view of recognition. I always say, the more aware we are, the more freedom we will feel. The 6 of Swords is all about moving on. Now, because this is Swords, it is to do with the mind and thinking. So for many of you, this is suggestive of you moving on from a certain way of thinking, okay? And it's about beliefs. We're addressing beliefs here. The other part of the message is that you will be moving away from something. There is a movement. Not only is there emotional movement, which means you're emotionally moving away from something, there might be some regret with it, or you are moving on with something that isn't working for you, not only emotionally but also mentally. And this could be, for some of you, moving on from your home. For some of you, it's moving on from a situation. Some of you moving on from a project that you have devoted a lot of energy to. Chances are, if that is what you need to do, there is a reason behind it. I want to say 2 more things, because I'm looking at the peacock and I'm looking at seduction or addiction. So the addiction card is, again, What are you attached to? What things do you need to have in order to be happy? What are some of the things, behaviors that are unhealthy but you keep repeating them? What are your addictions? What are your emotional addictions? And Peacock to me is all about sureness of oneself. So the message around peacock is that everybody admires a peacock because it's a magnificent bird. It's majestic, it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's just striking. But the message of this card is the peacock doesn't depend on those who tell it its magnificence. The peacock understands its own magnificence very well. So it doesn't look towards outside for self-validation. It understands and it knows its value and beauty. So this is really what I want to say to you. A month of November is a month of recognizing your own true magnificence. And a lot of the times, we don't pay attention to who we truly are. We pay more attention to who we are not, who we believe we should be, who we believe others think of us. We're not paying attention to ourselves. And that's an addiction. That's an addiction. That's an attachment. We do things out of desperation. So that's what I want to leave you with. It is important for me to address that November is time of letting go of the artificial way of being. What does that mean? Artificial way of being, that's a great statement, by the way. Thank you. It means, to me, being someone we are not, being someone you are not. So if you are trying to prove yourself to somebody, you are not being yourself. If you are trying to search for something in order to give you happiness, you need to go inside and ask yourself, how can I find the happiness right now? This is really, really important, okay? And the devil is being shown in my mind. So that's about addressing, whatever keeps you stuck. And the image I just had is you walking out of your own prison. So for many of you, at least I hope, there is a great opportunity or a tremendous chance to put some things behind you, have a different understanding, have a greater understanding of yourself so that you can let go of the old patterns. Again, the number 10 is significance of completions. And Six of Swords to me also signifies letting go, which oftentimes denotes completions. So with that said, I wish you best of luck in the month of November. I hope this makes sense. Chances are at the beginning of November, it won't make sense to you. You guys always tell me this. But at the end of the month or even the following month, it will make sense to you. And I would say 90% of you will make sense of this. Like I said, the way I give messages or the way I receive messages are meant to touch as many of you as it's possible in order to help you look at your life, look at what is said and see how it applies to you and draw your own conclusions. So my aim is always to help you think, to help you see things differently, to help you shift and change your perspective so that you can be an empowered human being. That is my passion and my wish for you. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, for liking, for sharing. If you would like to comment, please do. I always love to read them. For a private session to see about your life, that information is down below. Again, thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck. I look forward to seeing you soon, and take care.